Welcome to GeoScope. In a world where trade lines are constantly redrawn by politics and economics, we give you a front-row seat to the forces reshaping global commerce. Right now, one of the most significant shifts is happening not across an ocean, but in our own backyard, fundamentally altering the economic landscape of North America. The continent's trade engine is shifting gears. In a landmark move, Mexico and Canada are launching a colossal $120 billion infrastructure project, the Northern Corridor. This ambitious network is explicitly designed to create a new economic artery that bypasses the U.S. entirely. It will create a seamless flow for critical goods, from high-strength steel and complex auto parts to the lithium batteries powering our electric future. This is a direct challenge to the established order. The spark for this continental realignment? President Trump's looming 30% tariff set to take effect on August 1st. This isn't a minor adjustment. It's a protectionist policy aimed squarely at the integrated supply chains that have defined North American manufacturing for a generation. For Ottawa and Mexico City, the tariff represents a profound threat, forcing them to seek a radical alternative to shield their industries from the economic shock. Once quiet trade partners are now moving full speed toward a high-stakes alliance. The plan involves massive investment in new rail links connecting Mexican factories to Canadian ports, a unified digital customs platform to slash border times, and crucial LNG swap agreements to secure their energy independence. This is the blueprint for a new, self-reliant economic bloc, built on speed and efficiency. This isn't just logistics, it's a strategic realignment that could redraw the map for decades. How will it hit U.S. ports and Detroit's assembly lines? What does this mean for American jobs and the future of continental trade? Let's break it down. On July 12, 2025, the U.S. announced sweeping tariffs, 30% on imports from Mexico and Canada, targeting metals, auto parts, and copper. The message? Disrupt the supply chain at its core. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney responded in lockstep, sketching a bold workaround, a northern corridor that bypasses U.S. ports entirely. Mexico tapped industrial heavyweights like Carlos Slim and major steel producers, while Canada accelerated its Pacific port expansion already in progress. What began as a defensive move quickly evolved into a coordinated strategy, turning economic pressure into collaboration. The result? A corridor designed not for confrontation, but for independence. Think of this as a multi-lane superhighway for trade, one meticulously engineered to bypass the United States. It's a strategic realignment, a direct response to years of unpredictable tariffs. The goal is to create a seamless, self-reliant North American trade bloc, insulating Canada and Mexico's economies from U.S. policy shifts and forging an independent path for continental commerce. The Pacific Short Link, rail lines from Mexico's lithium and EV hubs in Monterrey and Sonora, connect directly to Canada's Prince Rupert terminal. These dedicated corridors for high-value goods will completely avoid the congested U.S. rail network. By connecting to a port that's days closer to Asian markets, they bypass U.S. tracks, tolls, and potential political delays entirely. The Great Lakes Flow Ring, Canadian raw materials like steel and nickel sulfate exit via the Atlantic, bypassing U.S. ports. Massive cargo vessels swing past Cuba and re-enter Mexico tariff-free in Veracruz. This creates a closed-loop supply chain, secure from American economic pressure and designed to fuel Mexico's expanding manufacturing sector. Impact? A projected 27% drop in U.S. inland cargo traffic, a calculated shock to America's logistical system. Key hubs like Chicago and Buffalo, long dependent on this trade, face a future with quieter docks. This threatens the very foundation of local economies built around transportation and logistics. The digital backbone, blockchain-enabled customs in Canada sync with Mexico's port GIS systems, creating a secure digital ledger for every shipment. Freight is cleared electronically before loading. No U.S. inspections, no federal fees. It's a frictionless system built for 21st century speed and security, making old processes obsolete. The U.S. could lose $3.5 billion annually in border processing revenue alone. But the true cost is far greater, factoring in lost business for American trucking companies, rail operators, and port authorities, now cut out of the loop. It represents a fundamental shift in economic power, with the U.S. moving from the center of North American trade to a bystander. For decades, the United States has served as the central artery for North American trade. In 2024, over $750 billion in Canada-Mexico trade passed through U.S. gateways. But the system is showing its age. A staggering $138 billion of that was inefficiently routed through third-party nations, bogged down by congestion and tariffs. This created a critical vulnerability. Enter the Northern Corridor, a strategic realignment of the continent's supply chain. By 2026, this network of upgraded rail and ports aims to divert nearly half of that traffic, creating a faster, cheaper path between Canada and Mexico that bypasses the US entirely. The first sector to pivot is electric vehicles. Spurred by US tariffs, cheaper lithium batteries from Mexico will now take the Canadian route, completely bypassing American processors. This isn't a minor detour, it's a fundamental break in the supply chain that was supposed to power America's green transition. Major automakers are already adapting. By March 2026, GM, its Canadian subsidiary CAMI, and Biotech EV plan to run their EV supply chain entirely outside the US. It's a calculated move to reduce costs and avoid the volatility of American trade policy, securing their production lines. The epicenter of this shockwave is Detroit. The Motor City's comeback story, built on the promise of EV manufacturing, is now under threat. The fallout is stark. Up to 360,000 fewer EVs assembled in Detroit each year. This triggers a cascade, wiping out 108,000 indirect jobs and draining $12.7 billion from the regional economy annually. Zooming out, the national economic hit is projected at $120 billion in just 2 years. This isn't an abstract figure, it's a direct blow to an entire ecosystem. It touches everyone from the fuel haulers and railway engineers to the warehouse crews and small businesses that support them. The foundation of US trade dominance is cracking. Beyond transport, this corridor doubles as a green trade platform. Canada will ship 5 million tons of LNG annually from Kitimat to Manzanillo, Mexico, gas that once flowed to California. The shift could raise California's electricity costs by $3.1 billion. But here's the game changer. Canada's low-emission steel and Mexico's advanced lithium batteries align perfectly with Europe's stricter climate rules. That could mean clean certification status, higher demand, and possible EU tariff exemptions, transforming a tariff workaround into a green-certified export lane. Canada and Mexico have already committed billions to fund the corridor. Once operational, its faster, cheaper costs, $68/ton versus $102/ton via the US, could lock in new trade habits, even if US tariffs vanish tomorrow. The longer Washington hesitates, the more entrenched this new supply chain becomes, built on green infrastructure, blockchain customs, and LNG swaps. This isn't just a detour, it's a blueprint for a self-sufficient North America without US dependence. If successful, the Northern Corridor could permanently reroute supply chains away from US control, especially hurting the Midwest's auto and logistics sectors. Billions in freight revenue, tens of thousands of jobs, and key access to clean tech components hang in the balance. Will shipments launch on time? Will carbon incentives pull in European buyers? Will Washington adapt or double down on tariffs? One thing's certain, North America's economic engine is being rebuilt in real time. Your turn. What do you think? Will the US shift course under pressure or watch the corridor redefine the trade map? Drop your thoughts below. And if you found this breakdown insightful, subscribe to GeoScope, hit the bell icon, and share this with someone who follows global trade. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep your perspective wide.